You are about to opt in to Monerotopia, a show for the Monero community where all are welcome to join. From noob to maxi, no matter what bags you hold. Just sit back and relax to the sweet sounds of Monero's latest progress. Or if you're feeling inspired, join us on stage. Remember, the only thing that can stop Monero is a false belief that it can be stopped. And if you want to win the revolution faster, we recommend you remove your XMR from all custodial exchanges immediately. Warning, voting accidents are common around here. Don't forget to properly secure your private keys. Monerotopia starts now.
Alrighty, just tweeting this out. Hold on.
Hey guys, everybody.
Gonna head out to buy groceries for Monero live on air. All right, posting it.
Nice.
All right, well, we'll see.
Episode.
What's that?
It's got a special episode. It's the first time going live at a XMR Bazaar store.
Yeah,
so
I'm sure lots of things will go wrong along the way, but we'll make it work.
Oh, I like the mug. Oh, the mug is cool.
Oh, thank you, man. Actually, let me bring up XMR Bazaar for a sec.
Yep.
Just so we could show people what we're talking about here. Hold on a sec. Guys, like and share. Let's get the word out. We really don't say that enough. We gotta spread the word, guys. If we don't do it, nobody else is gonna do it.
Yep.
We gotta get it beyond our echo chamber. I know that we got a lot of enthusiastic people in this community, but we gotta grow the community. We really do. That being said, it is growing, and you can see it growing live on XMR Bazaar. So I'm sure, as most of you guys know, XMR Bazaar has been up and running for, I don't know, like 2 months now? I don't even know, man. Everything's a blur. But it's doing well. Lots of posts, lots of listings. Let's see, we got like 21 people in the troll box right now.
Wow.
And yeah, anybody who doesn't know, XMR Bazaar is kind of like a Craigslist, but Monero based. So it's a place where people can buy and sell goods and services directly for Monero with Monero escrow built into it. So there's a way for, if you're doing a larger for smaller transactions, most people are just doing direct spends. So let's see, let's like bring something up here. This was kind of a funny post I saw. I will call anyone you want, real female voice. She's offering a service where she'll make a phone call for you. If you pay her, she'll call whoever you want. I don't know. There's some interesting ideas on there. I saw in the comments somebody was saying, like, can I hire you to call elected officials' offices and stuff? And she was considering doing that, the legalities of whether or not she'd be down to do that. I can call you sick into work. I can pretend to be your friend, girlfriend's wife or daughter and call someone on your behalf to convince them that you have a friend, girlfriend, wife, daughter. Great for gay men who do not want to be pestered by their family members. So yeah, this is just one unique listing that I happen to pull up right now. Let me see. I'm gonna log in though. Make an offer. So yeah, she's using direct payment. So that's the easiest way to buy and sell things on XMR Bazaar. Use direct payment. So if I were to hit confirm order, it would just show a address for me to send to. Obviously it's asking me to send 0.15 XMR. It would ask me to show me the address. I send it to the Monero, direct payment. And the system knows that the payment's been sent because then you post your transaction ID in there. And so it would show payment confirmed, blah, 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 blah. But for larger payments, we have an escrow system built into it that allows you to basically, in a trustless way, send a large amount of Monero that gets locked up in an escrow. XMR Bazaar is not the escrow holder. We never hold your Monero, even during the escrow procedure. Rather, it's put into a multi-sig transaction, and then there's a third-party mediator that can sign the transaction and release the payment in one direction or the other, depending on what happens, right? So very cool, very cool. But what I want to bring up today is recently, if you go to the business listings, so in addition to being able to do traditional things like showing goods and services that you're offering or whatever it may be, we also added a way for people to actually list their businesses. So not just listings showing something specific that you want to buy or sell, but you could actually list your business if it's a Monero accepting business, kind of like Monerotopia, but organized in a way that has a map feature and based on location. So this is kind of for like you can list virtual businesses as well. But I like the real world feature is really cool. So if you zoom in on New York, you'll see that somebody recently posted a supermarket in New York City that is accepting Monero. Actually, they're in Queens. They say Long Island City. It's really Astoria. So they're kind of like on the Long Island City Astoria border. So today on this show, I'm going to get up out of the seat and make my way over to this supermarket as Bawdy gives the price report. And hopefully, I check traffic. We should be okay. You never know in New York, but hopefully I'll get there within about a half hour. And then I'll jump on the stream and I will do a little shopping. And I will hopefully be able to pay for my groceries today with Monero directly out of Monero accepting supermarket. So that's what's going on today. Tony, what do you think, man? Too good to be true?
I think it's really nice. And what I want to add is the fact that not only it's a really good name for the whole thing, XMR Bazaar. I really like the name. But also the website is really nicely made. And it doesn't look sketchy or too, like it looks modern, looks nice. And I'm excited. Like I was looking for the services just now, and there's a couple that I'm interested in. Like there's one guy selling Dutch food directly from the major Dutch supermarkets. Like that's really cool. Yeah, so I think it's a really good idea, and I'm excited about the business. I mean, I hope they accept Monero, like they say.
Well, I did call in advance because if you read the post, the day Satoshi Nakamoto, the crypto community, and particularly the Monero community has been eagerly waiting for is finally here. You can now purchase groceries using Monero. And then he's saying they'll deliver to certain areas in New York, but he was saying to please call in advance if you plan on showing up and buying stuff with Monero, because they need to make sure, I guess, the person who's willing to accept the Monero is there. Basically, I guess the guy who runs the store, or the manager, whoever it is. So I called up and I spoke to the person. It was actually somebody else that listed them on XMR Bazaar, but the guy was like, no, I'll basically he's a Monero guy. Who's friends with another Monero person in the neighborhood who I guess shops there, and they're down to accept. So I'll be showing up there today. He knows in advance that I'm coming, so hopefully nothing goes wrong on his end. He'll be there, and I'll be able to buy some groceries with Monero. But even in talking with him, he was a little concerned. He's like, well, I'm a little concerned with accepting Monero just because, like, I got to pay my bills here. What am I going to do? I need to be able to easily transfer it into dollars. Kind of the age-old chicken and egg problem that everybody talks about, right, in crypto, right? And it's the problem that XMR Bazaar is trying to help solve. We're trying to build out this circular economy, but it's not that easy to do unless we all kind of jump into the pool at the same time and we're all willing to accept Monero, because you might find yourself in an instance where you're receiving Monero, but then you don't have an easy way of turning around and spending it to live off of or run your business. Obviously, that's a problem XMR Bazaar is trying to solve. But for somebody like this who's running a supermarket, he's like, how do I then realistically, turn around and buy more produce with this or whatever it may be? But he kind of came to the realization that maybe I'll just, hold some Monero on the side as I receive it and try to use it in places like XMR Bazaar, but I won't worry about maybe instantly trying to convert it back into dollars, which is great. That's what I think that's what we want people to do, right? We don't want it to just be a farce where people are using crypto, but really it's just fiat at the end of the day. We want them to use it, actually then hold it to the point where then they have an opportunity to turn around and spend it somewhere else. So really cool that he's thinking along those lines and trying to work with that. And I think his realization was, well, if I accept Monero, probably not going to get thousands of dollars in Monero on a monthly basis. It's going to be maybe a few people that trickle in, maybe me and one or two other locals in New York City that might find their way there. And I think he's realizing that he'd be able to do that. And I think as he does that, and if he sees more people coming in and he's worried, well, now what I'm going to do with this Monero, I think it'll also kind of be a good problem to have. It will show that Monero is growing and working, and probably in tandem, it's going up in price at that point, right? If you're in a position where you have all these people coming into your store now that want to use Monero, that probably also means that the Monero is growing and more people are using it, and thus the price of Monero is going up as an asset class. So obviously these things aren't easy to convince people of. We need early adopters out there that are willing to kind of like think about the big picture and really understand why you would want to even accept Monero in the first place. But this is a start. I'm super excited about it. So we are now like 10 minutes in. I'll quickly shill Monerotopia.
Yep.
Just because
also,
that's
before
what...
you do that, can you go back and show the map again? Florida was wondering where the map is, and he found it, but just for other people to see where they can find it.
Yeah, so if you just go to the homepage, you can see the spend Monero section, the earn Monero section. And then if right here, right next to all listings, it says view map.
Yep. You click on that,
Boom.
and then it's going to show you everything. So
you could also go to the business, under the spend section is obviously businesses, because that's one way to spend. And I need him to add a link to the map here. We need to add a second link to the map here. On this page, we should also have a link to the map. But you could search here. So if I search like food, yeah, so it pops up right here. It's not showing it in map form, but it does pop up. So yeah, we have to add a link to the map on the actual businesses page, but it's on the home page right there next to all listings, view map. Yeah, so let me quickly shill Monerotopia. Super excited, guys. Been very busy with a lot of other things, but kind of zooming in and starting to focus more and more on Monerotopia. We have locals down there that we're talking to that are going to help us make it a success. We want to get, obviously, people to come in from all over the world to join, like, the Monero community, but we also want to get locals in Mexico City to come out, which we had last year. Because of the way the venue is set up, it's basically a public area that people can walk into. Parts of it will be closed off to just the conference, like where the talks are taking place in the dome. But it is set up in a way where effectively, if you're in Mexico City and you're in the area, you can essentially kind of like walk through into the conference area where there'll be marketplaces, just like if you're in any city and you see a market and you can walk through it. So we're going to try to, in a larger way this year, really get the word out in Mexico City that this event is taking place and get people to come and check it out. So grab your tickets if you're gonna come out. We do ask that you try to at least purchase a general admission ticket. We need to fund this thing. Ton of expenses that come along with this. We have a ton of great sponsors already, trying to get more. But we do also have a super cheap, what we call a local ticket, just for a nominal amount. We just ask that people don't abuse that. Obviously, if you can't afford to go and that's your way to go, please, by all means, buy the super local cheap ticket. But if you're flying down there and you're like part of the Monero, you know, please we ask you at least buy the $89 ticket. A lot of people end up buying the VIP ticket anyway because they want to go to the dinner, which is super cool, and you get to hang out with all the speakers. But we do have that super cheap ticket. It's a nominal amount, and even then, you know, if you have locals come that can't even afford that amount, you know, we'll make it kind of as cheap as it needs to be to get people that want to come in there that are local that want to come see the marketplace, learn about Monero. Tons of great speakers. We'll be adding a lot more. I wasn't going to do a remote stage, but we are. So we'll have the live stage. We'll also have a remote stage. Most important thing I like to get out when I shill Monerotopia is to email us. Email us if you want to participate in any fashion. If you have any ideas of things you may want to see at Monerotopia, if you have anything that you could help with in terms of contributing to Monerotopia, if you want to come and sell something at Monerotopia, we're going to already have a ton of vendors there, local Mexico City vendors. But if you have something particular that you want to come down there and sell, we'll make room for you. You know, we're not going to charge you. Who we do charge is like bigger companies in the crypto space that want to come shill their stuff, right? We're asking those people to buy sponsorships, and that's what helps fund the conference. We get a lot of privacy tech projects involved, and they're buying the larger sponsorships. So if you're one of those, you know, if you're some privacy tech project that's well funded or whatever, and you know you want to come down, like yeah, we're gonna ask you to buy a sponsorship. But if you're just, you know, small time and you're working on a project and you want to come present it, we'll figure out a way to fit you in. And, you know, we're not going to ask you to buy a stand or anything. So email us at monerotopia@protonmail.com for anything concerning the conference in any which way you want to participate. Please don't hesitate to do that if you want to volunteer. If you want to be a speaker, if you want your business to participate, if you want to sponsor, whatever it may be. I know there's a lot of angst now against Proton Mail. There's people are looking to boycott Proton Mail, but for now we're still using it just because, you know, it's going to be inconvenient for us to switch over. But we are open to switching over to something if that's what everybody in the community thinks we should do to send a strong message to Proton Mail. I think we'll get to that more in the news section, but basically I think they indirectly or maybe even directly called Monero a shitcoin, which is absurd for a company that's focused on privacy tech. It's concerning that they are not, you know, putting I guess not walking the walk, you know, they're talking the talk, but you know, if they truly understand privacy tech, they'd be open to things like Monero as a tool, right? They wouldn't be maxi about some crypto and unwilling to use a tool that provides default privacy. Really the only and best crypto to do. I mean, there's others that are doing it, but Monero has obviously won the network effect in that area, and to just disregard that, especially from a company that's focused on privacy tech, is a little crazy, and you got to wonder why they're doing it. Is it just they have some maxi that's working for them? If they do, that's a problem. Like why am I paying for their service and using their service if they really don't have the principles that they purport to have? So for now, we are still using it. So please email us at that address, and we'll look into potentially changing it. Tony, anything else I should mention at this point?
I just want to add the fact that it's so nice that people have a voice and they can send us emails and then you know, show us their ideas, because at a Bitcoin conference or different conferences, nobody cares. Like if you send an email, nobody's going to respond to you. But in this one, if you have any good ideas, or if you want to speak, or if you want to show your product or do something, then yeah, please make sure that you send us an email, because we do listen. And if it's a good idea or anything, then, you know, we'll discuss, which is really, really nice. And it's really important. And it just accentuates the community. And
Agreed. Florida just saying, just made my Tuta mail account. Yeah, maybe that's the way we got to go. I think we were using Tuta, right? Sunita, we were using Tuta Nota? Or we were using
C Templar.
We were using C Templar. I don't know if you guys remember that one. We were using C, and they were accepting Monero at the time. but it wasn't the best user experience. No. And we use this on the daily to run our businesses. That's how we ended up going in the Proton Mail direction. But open to doing tuah, which I believe accepts Monero now as well. So maybe that's the direction we go. Maybe we get them to participate in Monerotopia too somehow. We shill them and get everybody to move over there. Florida's saying Proton is a honeypot for the CIA, global deep state. Who knows these days, man? I don't know. I'm not opposed to that opinion. It would make sense, right? I mean, why are they against Monero? I always use Monero as the litmus test for people that claim to be like liberty, freedom fighters, or claim to be privacy tech people. If they're not on board with Monero, or at least open to using it as a tool, then I don't. They got some other motive, some hidden motive. Eon, thank God they changed tuah nota to tuah. Yeah, good point. I guess this is a better name. All right, so let's move on with the show. I'm going to saddle up and hit the road. Tony, let's get Bawdy up here for price report, and I'll be on the move. I'll log in mobily, and you guys will see me as I make my way over to the Monero accepting supermarket in New York City.
Awesome. Okay.
So yeah, Tony, take it away. Let's get Bawdy up here. I think he is ready to go.
Yep, just kind of check real quick.
Right. Demi saying email in general is not very good. Yeah, maybe we could get into that with viewers on stage. Maybe we just need a completely new technical solution for communicating that replaces email.
Okay, I messaged Bawdy.
I see him behind stage. Yeah.
Should I just?
Yeah, I think you can bring him up.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Okay. So I'm going to the.
Oh yeah, play the news first, and then
play the price report segment.
I mean price report. Play the price report, and then we'll bring him up.
Okay.
And now for the Monerotopia price report segment.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey, Bawdy.
Hey, Bawdy, how's it going, man?
It's great.
Let's get your charts up. There you go.
Great to be on the show. For me, it's basically the afternoon rather than first thing in the morning.
Yeah, you like this, right?
Yeah.
I kind of liked it too. Allowed me to enjoy the day in the morning, get some sunshine, did some push-ups and pull-ups outside.
Oh, right on.
Not complaining.
How's your ankle healing up?
I think I told you. I still work out. I did deadlifts yesterday and stuff. And that was the first time I did it in a while. But anytime I do something like that, I feel it in my ankle the day after. It's just, I don't know. Unless I go down to Mexico and start injecting stem cells in there, I don't know what to do at this point.
Bro, it's 100% worth trying. Like 100%.
I think I am gonna try that. I'm gonna try doing that in my elbow too. Would be a very good test case. I always get a pain. I guess it's a tennis, or I think it's considered golfer's elbow. I have it in both. On the inside of my elbow. No, but it's from pull-up. Whenever I do pull-ups, I feel it. I originally got it from working out. I think I was like really dehydrated one day. It was like after a night of drinking. This is years ago, and I went into the gym and went hog wild, and I was doing like lat pull downs with really heavy weight, and I injured like both of my freaking elbows, and they just were never the same. So anytime I'm like doing pull-ups, right now it's only the right has seemed to heal, but the left just never went back to normal. So maybe that's a good candidate for the stem cell injection. I don't know.
And just for the record, I have seen Doug do pull-ups, and he can do a lot of pull-ups.
Yeah, I could do a few. I think, dude, you're super fit, Tony. I mean, I don't know. We got some fit people in the Monero community. Bawdy, obviously. Bawdy's I think on another level.
Maybe for nerds, but in the general population, no.
We're fit nerds. Bawdy, man, I'll let you take it away, and I'm gonna run out the door as you do so.
All right, man. Good luck evading the police if you're gonna speed there.
All right, guys. Hopefully, I will see you in the next half hour, and I'll be in the supermarket shopping.
Okay, sounds
Cheers.
good.
Take it
Drive
away.
safe.
Take it away, buddy. Adios.
Cheers.
All right, so here we are looking at the Monero chart like every day. Things are kind of stabilizing from what we had was a decent amount of volatility. And I think overall, except for the NASDAQ and the S&P 500, overall, like in the crypto markets, what I'm seeing is kind of like this stabilization, this sort of consolidation happening over a long time frame. So, I mean, obviously, we would like to break out sooner rather than later, but I think the case is I'm kind of developing really a kind of a tentative thesis that the market is going to take the next few months of stabilization before we actually get some major breakouts. And I'll show that on the charts as we go forward here. But yeah, obviously you can see that Monero had this big wick. I don't know what that was, but that happened yesterday. So we had basically a wick up to the tune of 10%. So that's always nice. I don't know if which one of you degens is trading a big stack out there, which one of you guys caused this, but good job on you if you made some profits, made some gains there. Overall, yeah, this thing is continuing to trend towards the upside. These are very, very, at this point, we're looking at 2 or 3 years of these standard deviation levels, just kind of like continuing to narrow, continuing to get lower and lower volatility. Obviously, if we go back here to the daily and we look on the longer time frames, you can see that this sort of channel, this overall kind of channel that price is in, we've been here for quite a while now. So there we go. Charts are a little delayed here. But yeah, basically this channel. Again, with the thing that happened earlier this year, the delisting, we're sort of widening those bands ever so slightly. Honestly, guys, I really like how the delisting caused like this massive breakdown, all this volatility to the downside, and then we just snapped right back up to the top side. That really, really tells you how strong the support for our price is in terms of an organic market, people really buying it. They can, the markets are always going to be volatile for speculators and all kinds of other different factors, but this is good. Like, honestly, this is really good that we have a coin that's used that has an organic stable price. I think I complained for years about like, hey, Bitcoin being this thing that's so heavily volatile makes it difficult to use as currency. And I think that the deep state, so-called the Illuminatis, I think they know that. And so they induce a lot of volatility to prevent that. Fortunately, if Monero actually does start getting significant adoption, I think we might have to wrestle with that a little bit. I think we would wrestle with increased induced volatility to try and sort of get people to not use it nearly so much. Okay, let's move on and talk about Monero versus coin. Effectively, yeah, we're like we said, I didn't like the way that this pattern had unfolded in the short term, in the sense that we had kind of gotten into these upper standard deviation bands, and then we broke those down. Usually, this point right here, if you're a trader, is your opportunity to say, okay, this thing is going down further, and to actually sell. So right now, in terms of the ratio, Monero does have a little bit of downside to contend with. I wouldn't have any opinion on the next move of this chart. Obviously, you would kind of look at the moving average here as sort of an eyeball place to, or the moving average cluster, I should say, as your nearest eyeball place for where you might try to pick up a long, or at least like some small swing trade. But yeah, at the moment, this pattern is going to be a little bit difficult to get over. We're going to probably need some consolidation and some proof that things are ready to go higher. That's probably not the case at the moment, simply because combining this sort of technical analysis with the broader macro view, Bitcoin at the moment definitely has the market psychology behind it. I don't know if you guys heard, but at the Bitcoin conference, Mr. Kennedy, he said that he plans to do like a 4 million Bitcoin strategic reserve. So he actually said that. I was trying to find where Trump said that. It was alleged that he said that, but I never actually saw that anywhere. I think that was just like, hype in general. But Kennedy actually did say that yesterday at that, is it Tennessee? Some Bitcoin conference in the in that part of the country. So yeah, he said he's going to direct I think it's the DOJ that holds 220,000 Bitcoin, to transfer that to the Department of Treasury. Not that it matters, because he's not going to win. Like, he's not going to win the election, but certainly all of that rhetoric helps Bitcoin's price. So we'll get to Bitcoin here in a second. We'll finish up with Monero. Okay, so yeah, this is Ethereum, Monero versus Ethereum. You'll notice, hey, we finally tagged those lower standard deviations after the delisting breakdown, which is definitely something we were looking to do. And I don't know. Technically, we did tag that. That would have been a pretty like a pretty strong point that if you were a swing trader, you would have flipped back into Ethereum at the very top. That is, if you were paying attention, right? Because who's sitting here watching the markets all day long, for hours and hours? Maybe some of you are. I would hope that you learn a better trading strategy that doesn't require you to be in front of the charts all the time. There's better things to do with your life. Nevertheless, we continue with the price report for the next 30 minutes, 20 minutes of our life. We'll be sitting here doing nothing but looking at squiggly lines, trying to determine which assets are going to outperform the other assets. Currently, in terms of the Monero price divergences to Kraken, everything is basically oscillating around the 0 point. This chart has become very boring, so we won't talk much more about it. Monero versus gold also is not doing anything of consequence at the moment. Monero is broadly, mildly positive to the upside. Gold has a little bit of a stronger upside movement going on here, but gold also moves with much less volatility. So even though Monero's kind of light, broad, positive motion sort of keeps us at pace with gold's strongly positive motion in like absolute sense in terms of like percentage rises. So anyways, Monero versus gold kind of basically just sitting here at this lower standard deviation cluster, basically the top of the orange bands here. Okay, nothing too crazy there. Taking a look at the transactions, we are effectively sitting between 20 and 30,000 transactions per day. Seems like we've really stabilized at that level since the kind of the attack that happened or whatever. That attack was actually such a good thing in a lot of ways because it revealed some network issues that needed to be fixed. So tip of the hat to whoever did that. Thanks a lot. The miners also thank them for the extra mining revenue. Probably whoever did that was maybe some developer, some Chad, whoever it was out there. Okay, anyways. But yeah, you can see we've basically been slowly rising from the transaction counts where we'd actually dipped down to like the 15,000 area, 15 to 20,000. And that has slowly come up much slower than I would like, to be honest. But at least if we rise slowly and steadily, we can convince ourselves that it was organic and that it's not just like, being manipulated that direction. One thing that I noticed here with the Monero nodes as well, if you'll notice this number right here, 12,386, that was actually like 24,000. I wonder if they changed the way that they calculate this. I'm not too sure, but either way, like 12,000 is still really good. Like 12,000 is really more than what we need for robust censorship resistance. And that's really like when it comes to nodes, that's your primary thing, right? We need enough nodes to have censorship resistance, but we don't need everyone to be able to run a node on their freaking Raspberry Pi so that they can sync over Starbucks Wi-Fi. Like that's not what a top of the line global financial network needs to look like. Yes, you need decentralization, but decentralization is not the point. The point is censorship resistance. So if you have sufficient decentralization for that, anything beyond that is effectively kind of wasted effort because decentralization comes with costs. Anyways, so that's interesting in terms of those nodes. But yeah, 12,000 is pretty good. Okay, so let's take a look here at Bitcoin and see what's going on here. I think I'm pretty convinced now that what we're looking at here is a broadening structure. So we kind of drew this line last week here, and you'll notice that this is a broadening pattern where the price is like oscillating more and more. This is interesting in the sense that this is almost kind of what gold looked like during the bull market. It's on a different timeline. So if you'll notice, we're here from 2024, right? So for basically this year. So it's a much shorter time frame. But if we go over here to gold, maybe we'll turn off the wave magic because that will be. What did I just do? No. Okay, I did something wrong here. Okay, BTC, gold. All right, I don't know what I did, but. All right, weekly. This chart looks like such a mess. You know what? Actually, maybe I can. Maybe we can just mute all of those lines here. Where's the right button? There we go. Okay. So this is the weekly chart for gold, and we'll just do this right here before gold broke out. But you'll notice that it looks like a very similar pattern in the way that the gold price came up here. So we're looking at 2020, right? Gold price busted out early. It always does. It always blows its load quickly, and then it has this big consolidation where you could say that this was kind of a broadening pattern, right? You had this lower low, yet the highs were kind of like tagging this upper level here. And so if we go back to Bitcoin, you see kind of a similar chart. You see kind of like a similar feel to this chart where it comes up and then it's sort of making these lower lows. So hypothetically, what we could see here is something like this, and some consolidation in this area. and then a really big breakout. If you'll notice, the timeline on my very dubious squiggly line there would only be, at best like September, maybe October, right? It could be that I'm even drawing that to happen too quickly. That would actually line up quite well if we're looking at the 4-year cycle. That 4-year cycle last time put Bitcoin breaking out in November, December. And the other thing that happened with that is Bitcoin dominance shot towards the upside. So right now, Bitcoin dominance has been hanging on quite strong, and I think largely due to the attention that it's getting in the political arena. So yeah, I mean, the maxis are going to fap about that for quite a while. But the reality is that when Bitcoin puts on convincing new all-time highs, and we're actually in a convincing bull market, in a confirmed bull market, where Bitcoin actually puts on a month-over-month all-time high gain, right? So 1 month above the previous all-time high closes, and then another month closes above that, right? Not this kind of like waffling action that we've seen, but a real convincing all-time high. That puts us into a real new bull market. And when that happens, right, you're going to see the rotation and the leverage shift into altcoins. It always does. So another thing that I would point out to you guys here is that if we're going to look at equivalent timelines, so right now we're 2024, so that would be equivalent effectively to 2020 of the last cycle. So you'll notice here that Bitcoin made some really massive dominance gains, even though it was already like in this downward channel, right? This downward channel was always meant to go towards the downside. It's a foregone conclusion that in a bull market, people are going to speculate on the shitcoins that are going to give them the 100x, right? The 1000x, right? People want to get retired off of $1,000, right? You drop $1,000 into some shitcoin that does 1000x. Hey, you just became a millionaire. So, but you'll notice that before that happened, Bitcoin dominance really smashed towards the upside before kind of coming back down. So, whereas I have been expecting this chart to break down for some time, because of the sort of shift in the political landscape and the attention and the hype and the way in which the cycles are starting to look a lot like each other. Like this cycle is starting to look a lot more like the previous cycle now. It would not surprise me to see Bitcoin make some big spike in the dominance here, confirm a new bull market before coming back down again to those lows. That seems to be the most likely foregone conclusion here at this point. That will be my thesis. That's also kind of the point of greatest opportunity and lowest risk, especially if we get some kind of tail risk event where the whole market crashes. So yeah, anyways, the point here is overall that Bitcoin is looking probably to consolidate, just like we said at the beginning. There's likely that there's going to be some sort of consolidation here on the Bitcoin price, much in the same way that gold had this sort of consolidation before it finally broke out, right? Kind of up, a little bit of a pullback, up, consolidation, that last moment before it broke out. I think that's probably what we're looking at here in Bitcoin. And funny enough, that's actually, again, talking about the cycles and how they played out last time, that would be very similar to what we saw here on the last cycle. So hopefully this chart is familiar for you guys. We're going to go to the weekly just because that should be maybe make a little bit more sense for people's brains. Hopefully this is a familiar chart for you guys, right? So that was the 2017 blow off here. And then you had this thing again, where it kind of came to the upside, and then there was it wasn't exactly happening at the all-time highs, you can see, but there was sort of this place right there where it's like price had to come here, consolidate, and then we really got that smash up. So yeah, I mean, I think that's what's happening. There's momentum building, and that's probably the more likely scenario. Although, I mean, overall, if we're going to consider that this is a bullish structure, people front run this stuff. So this could get front run and it could break out sooner rather than later. You would not be doing bad here at this moment to be taking your long positions here. Yeah, you might have to wait a few months, but at least you don't have to do anything, right? You can just sit on it. You're just going to drop your money into Bitcoin or crypto or whatever, and you're just going to sit and wait, right? Because this is a pretty bullish pattern. And it could get front run. For all we know, this thing could break next week or next month, right? This thing can just smash to the upside. And I think that market makers are very good at doing that, at seeing the trends that are developing, knowing where the cash is flowing, and then front running it. And they 100% do that on their exchanges. When they see real US dollars and euros or whatever coming into their exchange, and they know that those guys are going to be buying, they start bidding up the price before you can actually get your funds available. And they do it little by little, right? It's the aggregate of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people acting on their collective exchange network or networks, right? So there is front running that happens in crypto, which is why we see such violent spikes, because those things get bought before everyone else buys them, right before everyone else buys them. which sort of like amplifies the price effect of organic action. So yeah, okay, that's overall what Bitcoin looks like. In general, that's kind of what the crypto market looks like. We're looking here at total 3 market cap right now. So you'll notice kind of a similar structure. It's less bullish than Bitcoin. It's less violently towards the upside. It's still capped by these by the major standard deviations, the upper standard deviations that were set at the top of the bull market in 2021. But yeah, I mean, this is a chart that you would expect that looks like, again, it's going to need some time. Probably consolidating here, doing something like that, and then smashing towards the upside later this year. So yeah, that's basically what the crypto market looks like at the moment. One thing we could also look at here is the Bitcoin versus the NASDAQ. I tell people, like, listen, if you're going to claim to have the most amazingly performant asset, that's the strongest money, and everyone should throw everything out the window except for this one thing. You need to look at yourself relative to the NASDAQ, because the NASDAQ is effectively, like, how can we put this? The Illuminati deep state approved asset to hold for long periods of time, that they put the most leverage and the most newly printed money into, right? NVIDIA is a NASDAQ stock. Tesla is a NASDAQ stock. NASDAQ is effectively tech stocks, which is where most of the new printed money goes into. Okay, so anyways, here's the 2017 high. Let's drop a horizontal line there, and you'll notice, we got above that line back in 2021, oscillate around it, and then came to the downside. Now we're kind of oscillating around it again. This looks like there's a reasonably good chance that Bitcoin's actually gonna, and crypto in general, is gonna rise significantly against the NASDAQ over the coming next 2 years. I think we are at that point. We had the washout, we had the bear market. We just need the bull market to be convincingly proven, like we talked about on the monthly candles. So yeah, this is interesting, but you'll notice, in terms of all-time high, Bitcoin hasn't really put on a convincing all-time high versus the NASDAQ for 7 years now. So that's the diminishing returns aspect, right? That's how you feel next to the guys that decide where the newly freshly printed money goes. So with that, let's take a little bit of a look here at the macro. Nothing to see on the reverse repos. This thing is flat. That's not going to have any effect on the markets, basically. One thing I was looking at here this morning is that this is the global liquidity, right? So we're looking at all the M2SL money, all of the central bank balance sheets across the world. The white line is the globe, and then the green line is the United States. So you'll notice here, we've actually flattened out really almost for the entire year of 2024. So the actual liquidity situation is not looking super, super bullish. Usually what we've seen with the stock market, when the stock market goes up, we usually see the liquidity situation improving, which kind of happened up till about here. And then everything just kind of flattened out. And even though we had this big run in the stock market, the NASDAQ here, that didn't cause an extra liquidity into the market. So I do have some concerns at the moment. Because I know I said last week, I said, hey, probably we're looking at a bullish situation here for the rest of the year, and into whatever tail risk demand destroying event that could happen, whatever crisis is about to happen. I think it's going to be next year. In fact, since we need a little bit of time so that Doug can get over to the market, I want to put you guys onto an idea that I've been forming. So as you guys know, with Trump coming into office and having this massive groundswell of support from all the guys with the guns, right? All the guys that refuse the vax, and the right, and the people that believe in small government, right? You need the guy that's going to co-opt the small government people into whatever tyrannical shit that he intends. I say he, but he's not acting alone. He's part of this larger network. I know people like to think, hey, he's on our side, but was he really? I don't need to make the arguments here, but he did took the guns early, banned the bump stocks, even though he didn't need to, and did the COVID, the warp speed, and lockdowns on the nation, and shut the airports, kept foreigners from entering, and forced masks on everyone in the airports, and didn't stand up to Fauci, right? So he's just had a change of heart in the last couple of years. He was a simp that was oh, I guess the government's not being good anymore. We need to fight the government. Okay. So the point is that with the changing of the guard, and with this guy having such massive groundswell support now from all the people that are allegedly small government, they're going to follow him, right? They're going to make excuses, 4D, 5D chess excuses. They're going to add a new dimension every time that he does something fucked up. So I've been thinking, what is the crisis? What's the next thing that's going to happen? Well, I think a false flag cyber attack is probably It's the number one thing that my top possibility at the moment. So effectively, some kind of ransomware that maybe targets financial infrastructure, maybe targets the electrical grid. Obviously, it's an excuse for emergency monetary measures. And when it comes to the macro, we are at the beginning now of finally actually having this tail risk event. You'll notice that this chart here on the bottom, so here in the red, we're looking at the yield curve inversion. So you'll notice that this thing is starting to move towards the upside now. Yield curve inversion rising back to being not inverted anymore is a very negative sign in terms of what could be happening for tail risk, right? Big market crashes. The bonds in terms of like their actual rates are still like reasonably okay. They've been drifting down, but that's again, there's nothing immediately flashing red warning signs, but we finally are at the moment that it looks like, hey, this thing could be approaching. There's other signs that we looked at, like the unemployment here. The unemployment's already spiking up, and at basically no moment that the unemployment starts spiking does it really come back down. It's so rare for it to do that. So we've already got the unemployment starting to spike up. Again, this is an earlier warning sign. It could still be months before any such event takes place. It could be a year before any event like that takes place. Overall, the Federal Reserve balance sheet is coming towards the downside, and it has been, right? Just like before the whole thing that happened in 2020, right? The Federal Reserve balance sheet was coming to the downside before they started expanding it again at the very, coincident with Event 201. So anyways, I really am thinking about a high odds of some kind of false flag cyber attack next year. It gives them, again, the excuse from emergency monetary measures like Trump, like, oh, I didn't want to print all this money, but, the beer bug forced us to do it. There's the other problem with the Saudis. So the Saudis have effectively rejected the petrodollar. They have not renewed the agreement to only sell oil in terms of dollars. And so as a result of that, they can now sell oil in anything that they want. And the United States apparently just doesn't have the power to go in there and force that situation anymore. So the petrodollar could be on its way out. That doesn't mean that the dollar is going to totally die in a flaming, like a flaming death or whatever, but it does mean that there could be significant financial and debt restructuring that might need to happen here. So this will also give them the impetus to regulate crypto harder, probably because what we'll see is some kind of ransomware, right? There'll be a ransomware. Maybe it'll be an attack against the electrical infrastructure, right? We could lose the grid for a few days, or significant parts of the country or the globe could lose their grid for a few days, or maybe even a week or something like that. So there will be ransomware demands, and then they'll be like, oh my God, who would have thought we have to regulate crypto really hard now? And maybe that'll give them their vector into finally regulating the Bitcoin miners and forcing them to point at OFAC compliant pools, stuff like that. This will kind of make the recent Windows blue screen of death look like Event 201. To me, this actually looks very like they did Event 201 before the whole medical tyranny. So the Windows blue screen of death that just happened, I'm guessing here is a trial run, right? Or sort of a very light live exercise to see what it looks like when we lose a lot of infrastructure simultaneously for different things. I was thinking about that this could potentially be targeting financial infrastructure. So this thesis of a false flag cyber attack, if it targeted financial infrastructure, that would give them a really good excuse for significant financial debt restructuring, maybe even US dollar restructuring, something that resembles a CBDC that they don't call a CBDC. At the same time, if they really hit the financial infrastructure, that could push people into cash, right? Which is something that the globalists wouldn't want to happen. Like, they don't want you going to cash. So maybe they wouldn't hit directly the financial infrastructure. Maybe they'll just target the electrical grid to bring the financial infrastructure down while keeping the financial infrastructure largely intact once they reboot, the grid or whatever. That's, again, guys, I mean, this is highly speculative. I'm just taking like some simple things and trying to extrapolate, and extrapolation is very dubious. So excuse me. There's also the question, the last thing I want to touch on this here is the question of, now that Trump is going to be president, is the next president, as long as they don't like outright steal the election. Now that he's going to be president, I do wonder, starting to bring the market down now and then blaming it on Joe Biden rather than hitting a market top just as Trump takes office and then the market goes down. They're like, that's sort of a counterpoint to what I was saying last week, that the market is broadly positive through, at least towards the end of the year. Maybe they could bring the market down so that they have an excuse, the scapegoat being Joe Biden. And Trump says, well, we had you look at what Joe did to the economy, the markets were already crashing, and now we have to take emergency measures to save it. That's what all the presidents do. That's what they all say when they have to invoke emergency monetary measures. But combined with a crisis as well, right? That really gives them the top cover excuse that they need. So that's a very long-winded kind of explanation there of some things that are on my mind. That doesn't necessarily give you any good trading cues on what to do next here. My trading cue on what to do next year is basically just get your money into crypto, have some reserves, have some cash on hand, some dry powder, so that if we get this like tail risk event and things crash, you can scoop up the market at extremely low risk. As soon as they start the emergency monetary measures, you just buy, hand over fist, because you know what the market is going to do. That's your time of maximum opportunity. That's where it's the lowest risk, right? You don't have to worry about like, oh my God, am I going to buy and then I'm going to get cut 30% and have to wait 2 years? No. In those cases, the market already dropped 30, 40, 50%, and that's your opportunity to buy. So that's kind of what my thinking is here. You basically just want to be moderately long the market. Don't be long with leverage, but just get in there and be prepared to hold for a while, which is, I think, what most of you do. But yeah, I mean, we are looking at consolidation on the crypto markets. Hopefully you guys also hold gold, because this thing has been doing quite well. This will be the last thing that we look at, I think, here today. Dang it. Wow, my computer's... There we go. Okay. I was getting this weird lag. Okay. So yeah, gold has been bullish. We've gone to the upside here. Let's zoom in actually a little bit. I don't know if it's trading view. I think it's trading view is my problem here. Okay. So gold is effectively, sorry about that. Okay. Gold is effectively kind of still in this rising wedge pattern here, and sort of touching, right, tag that, like that lower line. Maybe that line isn't drawn as well as it could be. Maybe I don't know if that line, actually, let's just delete that. That seems like a dubious line to me. Probably I was just experimenting. Yeah. Okay. So gold's still kind of in a bullish scenario here, consolidating as well. I intend to continue holding this. I think that there's a very good chance that it breaks towards the upside. Yeah, maybe something like that. Right. Okay. Anyways, gold's still doing good. Had a little bit of a pullback this week. No big deal. And I think that's about all I got for you guys. If Doug's out there, if Doug's ready to go, I'll hand it over to him. If not, we could take a look at some extra privacy coins, quote unquote.
It's up to you, man. I mean, you can keep going, or I can take over. It's up to you.
Let's try and make sure and buy him plenty of time. So yeah, let's take a quick look here at some of the privacy coins. The one that caught my eye this morning here was Darrow. So we've been talking about Darrow. Obviously, they had their big, their chain just got totally pwned. Salute to Luke Parker on revealing that whole thing. Man, this guy is an unmitigated genius. Like, seriously, I don't want to jerk him off too much or anything, but geez, like, just fucking salute to that guy. Anyways, so in terms of the price here for Darrow, after that event, we said, hey, this thing's going to the downside. This is the big place to be looking at. I don't know how well you guys can see these lines. Let's see here. Turn that transparency a little bit towards the downside. Hopefully that's easier to see for you guys now. So that's the lower standard deviations. That's the lifetime lower standard deviations of the chart. That's where they cluster. Again, this wave magic is all based on the clustering of a whole bunch of different standard deviations, right? Which ones are agreeing with each other. So if you were like some degen privacy coin trader, I would definitely try and snatch up some stuff here. I think I'm going to shut up here for a second. I think Doug's trying to... Hey, guys.
Hey, guys. Also, Bawdy.
Hey, sorry, I didn't realize the camera was on.
Yeah, camera and mic.
Hello. We're driving.
All right, so y'all are still en route.
Yeah, we're still 10 minutes out, so keep it going.
Okay.
We should be good, and we can do the news after. But yeah, Bawdy, keep it rolling.
Awesome. Bawdy, just one thing. So somebody asked where they can donate to you. Your work is amazing, so people want to donate to you.
I really appreciate that, guys. I don't take donations. Please give it to someone that needs it. Give it to someone that's donate it to the Monero core team, donate it to Luke Parker, donate it to CCS. There's much better things to spend your precious Monero on than me. But thank you, man. I really appreciate that. So yeah, or donate it to Darrow. If you wanted to take like some kind of crazy, this is a Hail Mary, right? Darrow is in dire straits. Their chain is like having a lot of problems. This is just one level that you might look at, this lower standard deviation level here. And maybe it hasn't even quite materialized. Maybe there still could be some more downside. Hypothetically, if you were just a total degen, you could try and pick this up for a pump here to the upside. And if you got a good price, like you could really get a 2x on a bounce reaction. Obviously, the next place to look at would be just the absolute all-time low of the chart down there. Which would still be, how much farther down is that? that would still be a 76% loss if Darrow just like crashed all the way down to its absolute low. So yeah, that's the danger of playing in shitcoins and that kind of gambling. But hey, you'd put a little bit on there, say maybe it'll work. You take your profits early. You don't get greedy. That's the number one game when it comes to like degenerately trading shitcoins. You do not get greedy. You put your money in there, you put a little bit in there at points that look like they could be, maybe. And if you get some gains, you just take that profit and you take the money and run and you smile all the way to, not the bank, but I don't know, all the way to your ledger. So, okay, taking a look at some of the other privacy coins that are in the market. We've got Xano. As we said, Xano was kind of formed this little bottoming pattern, and really it's given some good performance. So if you are a speculator on Xano, you're probably pretty happy right now. At the moment, on the shorter kind of time frames, Xano's recent all-time high has set some standard deviation levels, which would be the blue lines, and we are approaching those levels. So this would be a place that you're going to expect some resistance at that area. I don't know if that'll overshoot. Sometimes it overshoots, and kind of like if it's a really bullish situation for Xano, it'll overshoot and then come here and then hang out in that zone and then come back to the upside. I'm not saying that I think that's what's going to happen here. I'm just saying that this is an area of importance, right? It's an area of significance that will ultimately be some kind of resistance for a period of time at a minimum. So yeah, Xano's coming up into a little bit of resistance there. Pirate Chain, our matey. I don't know if I don't really know how much I believe that this coin is great. Certainly, it's going to get some kind of pump eventually. I really don't like how it had this massive pump and then totally round trip back to the downside here. That's not good price action. But hypothetically, if this thing just kind of like held this area until we started seeing like the broader bull market take off, Bitcoin at new all-time highs, and then altcoins start running, yeah, it could very well be a case that Pirate Chain gives you some kind of like significant gains, 7x or whatever. But please do not think that Pirate Chain will be alone in that. There will be plenty of other shitcoins that will give you massive gains. So yeah, the Zcash masters and overlords have determined that Zcash will pump to the upside of almost 2x and then hang out here. I mean, I guess that's fine. When your chart looks like this, this kind of pump of 2x looks like nothing to me. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think we even have any. Do we have any people here that play with Zcash? I don't know. Okay, so if you guys haven't liked and shared and smashed that like button, please do so. I think unless I really just want to ramble on about some other stuff and like search for things to talk about. Oh, you know what? I almost forgot. The Federal Reserve has a meeting here next week, so they're going to have an FOMC meeting on Wednesday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. They will do a live press conference at 2:30 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday. We're probably looking for them to talk soft. We're probably getting ready for them to prepare the soil for a reversal. That could be bullish. That could definitely be bullish. Especially if they're like, yeah, it will be appropriate to drop rates sometime this fall, blah, blah, blah. I would probably expect some kind of market positivity on that basis. So let's see, what else could we talk about? Let's talk about the petrodollar. We talked about the Saudis and the end of that agreement. So effectively, we have oil here in a consolidation pattern. So we had a lot of volatility, obviously, with the whole events of 201 that crashed the oil market. Came back, had this big, inflation, whatever, and then it's been like pretty steadily just like hanging out in this zone. Now that's good. I don't want you guys to have to pay more at the pump. I don't want my family or anyone to have to suffer the consequences of high energy prices. So effectively, things are just kind of like consolidating, and we're getting lower volatility, which of course, volatility consolidation implies a big move coming up at some point. That doesn't mean it has to happen anytime soon. It could be months from now, but right now oil is definitely compressing volatility, and at some point it will break to one side or the other. If history is any lesson, if we get some kind of tail risk event, what we'll see is a massive dip in oil, probably somewhere to the lower standard deviation level here, followed by emergency monetary measures, and then a rebound to the upside, and then probably some kind of new all-time high for oil. If you're looking down here at the bottom, that's 2025, maybe even 2026 timeframe here. But that's what we would expect. That's the kind of action you would expect to see in oil if we were to get some kind of tail risk demand destroying event. So at least that seems to have been the pattern in the past. And it makes sense in a lot of ways, right? When the economy goes into recession, people are like, oh, God, we don't, people don't need energy anymore. We have too much oil, and the price goes down. Sometimes all the way to zero if it's 2020. So let's see here. What have we not looked at? Oh, we didn't look at the stock market. So, and Doug, if you're out there and you're ready at any moment, just jump in here and let me know. Otherwise, I'll just continue blabbing about bonds and stocks and whatnot.
Just jump off. Hey, I am on. I was waiting for it to finish. Hello. We just
all right, guys. We are pulling up. We spotted the store, Seatown Farmers Market in Astoria. We will be approaching. Tony, I don't know if you want to like do the news as I kind of just film myself shopping around, and then at some point I'll jump on and I'll try to get the guy to come on as a special guest.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we can do that.
So I'll just be here kind of in the background. We'll have the video running, and at some point we'll jump on. Okay?
Okay, sounds good. Awesome.
If Bawdy's done.
Yeah, I mean, I can ramble on forever, man, just like random thoughts here and there. But yeah, I can be done. We should touch on one last thing. The stock market, the NASDAQ. So the S&P dropped 5%, which for the S&P is freaking huge. And then the NASDAQ dropped 10% in the past 2 weeks. So that is a pretty big drop. I mean, it's really like so far that's nothing massively concerning. We had an 8% drop here earlier this year. So this really isn't a big problem. The main trend line here is still up. Like everything is still looking okay for the NASDAQ and the S&P. Big pullback. That doesn't necessarily mean the show is over. I wouldn't be surprised again if the Fed comes out talking dovish that we get some kind of rebound this next week. That's quite the drop off. This is definitely like a reasonably solid way to draw the line here. This particular line. So I would expect some kind of reaction bounce next week. So hypothetically, you short-term traders, if you could put all your money that you have in the traditional financial markets, which I'm sure that you all do, you can take a little trade there. So. Yeah, with that, I'll hand it over to Tony so we can learn about all the good and bad news that happened this week. Take it away, brother.
Thank you, Bawdy. Okay, let's go into the news section, guys. Okay.
The Monerotopia Weekly News segment is sponsored by WizardSwap.io, a non-custodial cryptocurrency exchange.
Here, you can hold this.
Okay, hey guys, welcome to the news section. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have
You have your
Doug on
AirPods
one
on?
side and Sunita, and then I'm gonna have me on the other side presenting the news.
You want to try this?
Put this in.
So let me share my screen.
Just be careful that it doesn't hit your buttons.
Okay, let's see how it looks like. Should be able to see in a little bit. Oh, okay. There we go. Okay, so let's discuss the news of the week. We had some very interesting stuff happening, so we have a lot to discuss today. First thing, now Doug and Sunita, they're at the supermarket in New York City. It's been listed in XMR Bazaar, so it's going to be really nice to see them shop there. Actually, let me do this. I'm going to have see if I can. Oops, 1 second. I'm trying to play with this for a little bit. No. Okay, I'll stop playing with it. Okay. Now let's discuss this post. So Doug posted that the choice is yours. You can pay $600 to go to the Bitcoin conference and hang out with a bunch of punks, or $89 worth of untraceable XMR, and you can go to Monerotopia.com in Mexico City with a bunch of cyberpunks. And somebody made a T-shirt that says Bitcoin is the tuah on central banks. which is funny. Then, so I was gonna watch the Olympics, the opening ceremony last night, and I'm kind of happy that I that I didn't. So we're gonna play two clips, and I think they're both comparing. No, so let's play this one first. So this was from the opening ceremony at the Olympics in Paris. So let's play this one first.
Hey Tony, you can't hear your sound, man.
Oh, there's no sound.
Yeah.
Okay, 1 second. Okay, let's try this. Can you hear it now? 1 sec. What about now? Can you guys hear anything? Can somebody write in the comment section? I'm not sure why it's not working. It's usually find the right settings. But yeah, so essentially they're mocking Jesus, recreating the Last Supper with a bunch of drag queens, a gay Smurf, and a few children's.
Could you maybe get somebody else to play them? You get some good videos there with the sound.
Yeah. Let's see. Or let me try.
I'm in the supermarket right now, by the way, guys.
Nice.
All right, so supermarket awesome. is legit. All right, I'm gonna try to touch base with the Monero accepting manager. Let him know we're here. Establish that he's actually down and accepting Monero, and then we'll proceed. But yeah, Tony, if you could maybe get somebody can help you out with the playing the videos on their end.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to see.
Or just do the non-video stories for now, and
yeah, I think I'll do
get somebody to help you.
Yep, I think I'll do that. Yep. Okay.
All right, cool.
Yeah, guys. So we'll play this in a little bit, and then this is showing the 2014 Russian Olympics versus the 2024 French Olympics, and quite a difference. I'll play this later with sound, but things are not looking pretty good for society in the long run. I mean, that's quite concerning. Then, yeah, so we'll play all the videos later, but this one is very interesting as well. So Robert F. Kennedy Jr. pledges 4 executive orders related to Bitcoin on day number 1 as president. So the first one is, and this one is very interesting in particular. So he said, I will sign an executive order directing the U.S. Treasury to purchase 550 Bitcoin daily until the U.S. has built a reserve of at least 4 million Bitcoin. Then he said, I will sign an executive order directing the DOJ and the U.S. Marshals to transfer the approximate 200,000 Bitcoins held by the U.S. government to the U.S. Treasury, where it will be held as a strategic asset. Oh, wait, it's not showing. Why is it not showing? 1 second, guys. I'm not sure what's going on today. Give me 1 second. Okay, should be good now. Let me see. Can you guys see now? You can write in on YouTube. Should be able to see now. Nope. Okay, there we go. Okay, that's really weird. Usually works, but I don't know what's happening today. Okay, but yeah, and then third point, he said, I will sign also an executive order directing the IRS to issue public guidelines that all transactions between Bitcoin and the US dollar are unreportable transactions, and by extension, non-taxable. Then last point, he said, I will also sign an executive order directing the IRS to treat Bitcoin as an eligible asset for 1031 exchange into real property. So quite some big propositions that he made on the Bitcoin conference on day one, that things that he will do on day one as president. So that's quite interesting. Then we have Mynymbox. They're showing their statistics. So large amount of transactions are made in Monero, 69%, 27% are Bitcoin, Litecoin 3%, Lightning just 1%. So the overall majority, as we can see, is in Monero. So, and it's such the case with coin cards and the rest of them. Monero slowly taking over. Before maybe it was Bitcoin and some, but now it's Monero predominantly taking over all the payment methods used. So that is very good to see. Now let's discuss. This one is very interesting, and it's in regards to JD events, and this one is about bioweapons. So essentially, let's go. So we have retired pharma R&D research and development executive Sasha Latipova, and they're basically all partnering together to make bioweapons. They said they got huge contracts from the Department of Defense, including specifically DARPA, BARDA, and DITRA. And it's been noted that they've done horrific experimentation on animals, including the injection of a virus and vaccine combination containing both Ebola genes and Nipah virus genes. They're telling us this is some sort of standard science that they need to do to study vaccines. It's not. And I'm looking more closely into this paper. It appears to me that the Defense Department is working on bioweapons. So this is quite concerning. And then it goes into, let me see if I can find it. But yeah, so essentially they're getting huge contracts for bioweapons, a lot of money involved. Let me see. Yeah, so they also said that they've done horrific experimentation on animals, injecting them directly into the brain with what they call vaccine virus. And in the same paper, they call it the chimeric vaccine and the chimeric virus. It's the same exact substance, which contains backbone of live replicating virus, including Ebola genes and Nipah virus genes. So it's quite concerning stuff. Yeah, it's very concerning stuff. It's quite scary, to be honest. Then, so let's go into here, actually. So we have Proton Wallet. They wrote on July 24th on Twitter. Today we're launching Proton Wallet, an open source self-custodial Bitcoin wallet. And then somebody wrote, currently, here comes the shitcoins, because they wrote on Reddit that they're Bitcoin only. And then they replied to that by saying that we're not interested in shitcoin. Then let me read what Ceph Privacy said about that. He replied, strangely out of character and unprofessional response here, portraying blind Bitcoin maximalism from a company touting private by default, as its tagline is confusing AF, especially when I know for a fact they don't consider Monero shitcoin from many direct conversations with them. They even approached me a few years back seeking help with a Monero integration that they didn't pursue for reasons I wasn't told. So, yeah, this one is very interesting as well. Somebody wrote down they didn't call Monero shitcoin, and if you read their initial statements, they do leave the door open for future possibilities. And as Seth said, what other statements would like to see that? So the fact that they're pro privacy, but Monero is not part of the equation is quite suspect. But who knows? Maybe one day we'll see Monero as part of their wallet. Then let's take a look at. Oh, okay, so this one is.
Wait, Tony, I'm chiming in here.
Yep.
So we are gonna go shopping. we just spoke with the guy who runs the store, and he is in fact a Monero guy. So we'll be shopping in the background, and he's going to be our special guest today. He agreed to jump on and talk about why he's accepting Monero, which is super cool.
Nice, awesome.
So we'll be shopping here in the background. I'm not going to grab too much stuff actually, because we don't really need, right? A lot, right?
Yeah, we don't need that.
Not right now. But we're gonna grab some things. Also, I don't want to scare them with walking out here with like $400 in groceries right now. We're gonna start slow. So I'm gonna buy some essentials.
We need butter.
Get some butter. I'm gonna get some kombucha. I mean, if this guy's willing to accept Monero on the regular, I'll be shopping here. This will be my freaking supermarket, which would be freaking amazing. So we'll continue shopping in the background. But yeah, this is how we do it, guys. This is how we build it out.
Okay, so let's go back to that news. Okay, so this one, supposedly they're looking into it, maybe not, but essentially in the EU, they want to register all your assets eventually. Now, according to this article, which has been translated from, or wait, what? Okay, 1 second. Okay, there we go. So yeah, this article has been translated from German and essentially says that, so financial expert Sebastian Hell explains that what could be behind a possible EU asset register. The EU Commission contradicts the alleged plan. So they're saying that they're not looking into it, but I do believe that they would love such a system in which you are going to report not just your bank accounts, shares, stocks, cars, but also precious metals, bitcoins, works of art, your tacky Rolex, and basically anything that you can use to, like, let's say, use to money launder, according to whatever definition they have of that. So I do believe that in the future that is going to happen, and they're going to want to have an asset list of all the European citizens, and that's going to be in the name of protecting the EU against money laundering, crime, and all kinds of stuff, tax evasion. But in reality, they just want you to eventually own nothing. So that's where all it's gonna go. Then we have so this one is about Republicans and conservatives and the fact that Republicans seem to push biometrics and digital ID to deal with election fraud or the border. So this is going to happen. I'm not quite sure, but this is essentially what it's talking about. That there is a push to get conservatives to buy into the control model for different reasons that are used in different sort of marketing to the people of different political persuasions. So that could be a push, that there's a lot of fraud in the election. So we need digital IDs, we need biometrics, we need to identify everybody. This is in the name of trying to not have fraudulent election, to a fair election, to know who's coming into the United States. But this will be quite a good excuse to just get people under control. Then this one is about Republicans trying to destroy crypto freedom using terrorism and money laundering. So Aaron R. Day is saying that, so while all of you are jerking each other off about how great Trump is going to be, here's a summary of this gem of a bill. And we'll go all the way to the bottom, in which he says, why this bill is bad for pro-crypto and pro-self-custody advocates. Number one, increase surveillance and control. The bill mandates extensive monitoring and reporting on digital asset transactions. This could lead to increased surveillance of individuals' financial activities, infringing on privacy and the principle of self-custody in the crypto community. Number two, broad definitions of illicit use. The term illicit use is defined broadly to include a wide range of activities. This broad definition could potentially criminalize ordinary crypto transactions or minor infractions, leading to increased regulatory scrutiny and enforcement actions against legitimate users. Number three, potential overregulation. The legislative and regulatory proposals developed by the working group could result in overregulation of the crypto industry, stifling innovation, making it difficult for new projects to comply with stringent requirements. or 4, public disclosure of strategies, quite a lot. But let's actually skip over to the number 6, the impact on privacy coins. So, oh, you can see. Okay. God, I never had this many issues. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not sure why I'm having so many technical difficulties today. I guess maybe the WF is in my computer and they're trying to make this thing not happen. Okay, you guys should be able to see my screen now. Okay, yeah, should be good now. Let's go. Yeah, so impact on privacy coins, as we're going to discuss actually. Privacy coins, which are designed to provide greater anonymity, could be particularly targeted by the bill's measures. This could lead to restrictions or bans on privacy coins, negatively impacting their users. The bill's focus is on combating terrorism and illicit financing through stringent regulations and increased surveillance, pose significant risks to the principles of decentralization and privacy. So, yeah, I'm not quite sure how, who should be the next president of the United States. Definitely not Kamala, that's for sure. But who's a better candidate, RFK or Trump? I mean, RFK doesn't have a lot of chances, and I would definitely take Trump over Kamala just as anybody else. But yeah, this would be quite concerning if this is the case, of course. Then, so we're gonna play this video later. Okay. Now, this one is interesting as well. So, Whitney Webb posted on Twitter. Oh no, sorry, X now. She said, for those interested in the recent news regarding CrowdStrike, consider that CrowdStrike is part of the Global Cyber Alliance, part of the WEF-led effort to force you to adopt digital ID for internet access in order to stop cybercrime. Microsoft is part of this too. See above article for more on the groups pushing digital ID as a prerequisite for internet access and the push to end online privacy entirely. They include the GCA, WF Partnership Against Cybercrime, and several more. So yeah, essentially, if you don't show your digital ID, you don't show your biometrics, sorry, you don't have internet access. And the fact that, let's go here. So if you go on WF, they have an article called The Global Coalition for Digital Safety. With the growing challenge of terrorist and violent content and the exploitation of children online, there's an urgent need for more deliberate global coordination to improve digital safety. Now, is this what they really care about? Not really, no. I mean, what they ultimately want is for you to have no privacy and for them to control everything that you do online and to be able to track it if they want to very easily. Then this one is a very long article, but it's very, very interesting. So we're going to go over here to the top. So it says, notably, the WF Partnership Against Cybercrime employs a very good broad definition, like always. They always include broad definitions of what constitutes a cyber criminal. Cyber criminal could be talking about against the WF on X or whatever platform. So you could be entitled a cyber criminal. As they apply this label readily to those who post or host content deemed to be disinformation that represent a threat to democratic government. And we've seen a little bit of disinformation since COVID and but the WEF's interest in criminalizing and censoring online content has been made evident by its recent creation of a new global coalition for digital safety to facilitate the increased regulation of online speech by both the public and private sectors. So yeah, slowly they want to get more fact checkers, but this time fact checking is not going to just probably get you off the platform. You're not just going to get maybe some Facebook ban for 30 days or whatever. You're going to be a cyber criminal and probably have to face criminal charges for what you said or what you've done. And yeah, that's the future can be either very, very good or very, very concerning. And I think not much in between. And a lot of stuff will be unfolding the next couple of years. So actually, like I've been thinking, the new section in like 2030 will be very, very different. Like I'm wondering what kind of world we're going to be in at that point. Yeah, so this was a new section. We do have a couple stuff that I can
Tony,
play.
that was all. That was all the news.
Yeah, that was all the news. We got a couple
Okay.
videos, but I don't know why I had so many
Yeah,
technical.
we got some good ones that we want to play. So maybe when the other people jump up, they could play it.
Yeah.
You could put it in the chat.
Yeah, give me 1 second.
But for now we will move on to the guest segment. Right? We're done with news. And I will check out and then
guest segment first.
attempt to interview. Yeah.
You have to play the guest segment.
Yeah, so oh yeah, all right. Might as well play the guest segment right now. Yes, we found everything. Can I put you on camera? You don't want to be. You don't want to be, right? All right. He doesn't want to be on camera, so I'm not going to put him on camera, but I'm checking out right now. Tony, go ahead and run the guest segment because we're about to interview my man here who is accepting Monero at his supermarket.
Okay.
In New York City, which is freaking fantastic. So go ahead.
The Monerotopia guest segment is sponsored by Cake Wallet. Store, send, receive, and exchange your Monero and Bitcoin safely on iOS and Android too. Cake Wallet is open source, and you always control your own keys.
Extra bag? Do you want to?
I know, we'll put it in here. I brought that.
Tony, can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah.
Tony.
Yep. Yes.
Hello,
Can you hear me?
Wait, we
Hello?
can't hear him. How do you put the...
I can hear you.
Tony, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can.
Hold on, I think we got to mess around with our audio on our side. No, it's the output. It's not coming through the speaker.
How about now? Yeah.
Hello.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, but we can't hear them.
Oh, you're right. I can put
You
it
know
on
what?
my
Wait,
phone.
I could just interview him on this, honestly.
I can put it on here.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Hold
We were gonna try to use a mic, but it didn't really work out.
on. Hold on.
Hold on 1 second. All right, now you're good. I think.
All right, guys. Sorry about that. Our mic wasn't working because I won't be able to hear you. But can you hear me now? You can, right?
Yeah, I can.
All right. So we're gonna go ahead and check out right now, Sydney, because I'm on my phone. Sydney, you're ready to go? You're good to pay?
Yeah. Hold on.
All right. All right. So, guys, we got a bunch of good things here. A lot of my typical stuff. I got some kombucha, some grass-fed beef, some pasture-raised eggs, some kefir, avocado, blueberries, and I'll be using Monero to pay for it all. Freedom money. Dude, this is a dream come true right now. Is this where I get this is where the feds now just take me away as I'm purchasing groceries in New York City with Monero directly. Here we go, guys. Total is 122.46. All right. Soon we'll be eventually denominating it in Monero itself. We're not there yet. Sent?
Yeah.
Oh, pending? All right. We're pending. There we are. I see something. All right. As easy as that, guys. Completely untraceable, like cash from one man to the next. Oh, and now he wants to buy the coffee off of me now. He asked me to bring him a bag gratuitous. So he's gonna buy coffee right now. But let me talk to you, man. Can I go ahead and introduce yourself to whatever degree you're willing to.
Okay, my name's Adam. I run a business out of Astoria. We're a supermarket. So if you want to come and shop, we'll accept Monero. Just got to call me in advance and make sure I'm here.
You heard it first, guys. Here on Monerotopia. Oh, hopefully you can hear us. Why, man? Why you accept Monero?
Okay, well, I believe in anonymous money, to be honest. So if you want a transaction in Monero, I don't mind. So we could try to make it work.
That's
Instead of using US dollar, we could use other forms of currency.
That's fantastic, man. What just be honest, like what is kind of your hesitation as a business owner with accepting Monero? Like what is something, because we all talk about in these ideals like, oh, everybody should accept it. You're actually a person who runs a business. From your perspective, what are your hesitations?
Okay, so for a supermarket, at least, we're still a little bit old school, right? So everyone in the early 2000s, we're dealing with cash, right? Now everything went to Apple Pay, credit card, and mostly online merchant payments, right? So like, let's say we're in the summer now. My Con Edison bill for running these air conditioners was almost $3,000, right? So if I were to go to them and be like, hey, I got Monero, they'd be like, what? So, you know, everything right now is getting paid in US dollar, and not even cash anymore. Everything is through the bank. In Astoria, you know, in this type of neighborhood, we're 90% credit. So everyone doesn't even carry credit cards on them anymore. It's all Apple Pay. So for me to take Monero and try to pay the bills with it, you know,
you need a place where you can turn around and then spend it.
Exactly. So right now it would just be a holding situation. And then, you know, I would also, you know, the only real way to get the dollars out is to go to Coinbase, and we know Coinbase. So you're not going to stay.
Do you think maybe there's a way you could find like a supplier that you could pay in Monero? Like I could supply you coffee. You could sell some gratuitous coffee on yourself.
Of course, yeah. If it's available, you know, we're still in the early games, so this is us trying to make it work.
Yeah, that's the key, right? We need it where you're accepting it and then you're turning around and actually spending it yourself in the economy as Monero.
Yeah, you know, we know the Monero use case right now. So, you know, the dark web is mostly the use case.
But you saw XMR Bazaar and it's working. It got me here. Maybe you could check it out. Maybe there's things you could buy off there that you could use as business person.
We're in New York City, so we're in New York City. So if more businesses want to come on to XMR Bazaar, we could, you know, transact together and make a little community.
Fantastic, man. Fantastic. This is a dream come true, guys. I don't want to like blow up his spot anymore, but it's on XMR Bazaar. You can find it there. There is a supermarket in New York City that accepts Monero. Just make sure to call ahead. We got to just make sure our guy is here. But who knows? You know, maybe it moves on to another phase eventually. Maybe we figure it out how to more seamlessly integrate it.
Is this your first time buying groceries with XMR?
No, I bought in Argentina, in Formosa. I don't know if you saw, but I don't know if you saw. There's a little town and so I actually went grocery shopping there. But yes, in the U.S., 100% directly with Monero. I didn't buy a gift card that allowed me to like purchase something with the gift card for Monero. I paid you directly, peer to peer, with Monero.
We're making history here.
We are, man. All right, I don't want to bother this gentleman any more than I already did. This is fucking awesome, though. Tony.
Yep.
We're gonna do another You were able to hear us well, right?
Yep.
Okay, so we can move on. We can move on to viewers on stage. Get people up here if they want to. If they want to chat. Maybe if they even want to ask him a question, I can kind of hang out here for a minute or two. I don't want to be rude, but yeah, if you want to bring people up, now would be a good time. We're just buying the coffee off of it, or selling him our coffee now.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So go ahead.
Yeah.
It's the Viewers on Stage segment. It's that time where we invite you, the viewers, up on stage to comment on anything you've heard so far today, ask the guest a question, or maybe talk about one of the news topics. Come on down.
Okay, hey guys, Wazi, Nihilist.
Hey, looking good today.
Hey, man, I don't know what happened today with my. It's the same setup, but need to look into it after.
Yeah, technical issues happen.
Yeah, it happens sometimes. Yeah, actually, if I give you some links, can you play the video? Because I'm not sure why also my audio doesn't work.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. I'll put it in private chat. I think it's only. Oh, wait, I'll show you. So it's this one. Okay, we have prancing too. Nice.
What's going on, guys?
Hey, man.
So I have to play
Doing
this.
good, doing good.
So yeah, we're selling him the coffee right now. I don't want to get him. I came here, bought groceries, and when I called him, he knew about the coffee, so he asked me to bring coffee that he could buy. Maybe I could get him to put some on the shelf.
I take from a lot of vendors.
What's that?
I take from a lot of vendors, so if you want to put a stack, we can make
That'd
it
be
work.
fucking awesome, man. Wow. All right, so you could buy your gratuitous coffee with Monero in New York City right now at a very well located supermarket in Queens, in Astoria, Queens. It's not like out in the middle of nowhere. This is a very accessible supermarket for people living in New York City area.
And I see it. It's an excellent
And it's great. It's got everything you need. Fantastic.
Really?
But go ahead. Who do we got up here? We got Nihilist. I can't really see, guys, so don't be shy. You never are. Don't be shy. Alaska, take it away, man. Is this not a freaking moment right now?
I'm very impressed and proud of you, Doug, for hunting down and chasing it and making it. You're very good at bringing these the attention to situations like this. So that's an excellent. And there's probably people that come and go from New York for all kinds of different business ventures, and this guy's going to see a pretty big boost in, alternative and parallel economics. But the main thing is like, this is what we all need to do, right? If you have a niche, put yourself out there, accept the Monero, make the public aware. Like, this is how we do it, man. And I'd say it's a pretty big step.
Yeah, I think it's huge, and I'm feeling the impact personally for myself. I now have a place where I could go and buy my groceries, not just like one or two, but like all the things I need, which is fantastic. And use Monero directly. I'm not buying a gift card, peer to peer, using Monero. And I think maybe in this area we could get a little growth. There's also an ice cream guy that's supposedly accepting Monero right now. I could try to make my way over there as you guys talk behind the scenes. But for whatever reason, Monero might be beginning to blossom in Astoria, New York, it appears, which is fantastic.
Another thing about there being like a local grocery store, if he has the conversation piece, right, and if it's working, and he kind of slowly graduates his employees into knowing how to accept Monero, well, then you can take that to the next level, which is if people are like, I see you accept Monero. It's like, are you paying in Monero? Well, I don't have any. Well, we will offer the ability to, for personal use, you can get some Monero for cash or whatever. And it's a vehicle by which you can onboard people into the Monero economy as well. So that's a whole nother layer. Like,
you know what I want to ask? I want to ask him about giving change back in Monero. What he would think of that.
Exactly.
Concept.
Like he could give change back in Monero.
Like, what would you, if somebody came in and paid with cash and they bought $200 worth of groceries?
Okay. What was their total?
The total was $182. They buy,
Said, give me back
and they give you two $100 bills, and they say, "Oh no, I'll take my change in Monero."
Okay,
cash.
so then I would have.
This is something I tried starting years ago. By the way,
I would have to make sure I have a little stash in my wallet. Right. I wouldn't mind,
because that could be a way to get it to flow.
That's True, actually, it's basically buying and selling. I would have a sell point at that point. Yeah.
But you're not in the business of selling Monero, obviously, because that's illegal. But there's nothing illegal about accepting Monero peer to peer, and giving change back is just a natural, part of that process of accepting a currency. So, perfectly legal in my eyes. That could be a good way. Yeah,
that would definitely be a use case that you could buying and selling, transacting.
Yeah. So this is something we're talking about doing on XMR Bazaar.
Cost because a business spends a lot of money swapping out for having change in the till.
Yeah.
So you could basically say, no, this is a cost-saving mechanism. Instead of having to constantly have a Brinks truck down here to get you more change.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is just
we
to mitigate business expenses. I don't sell Monero, but keep in mind that's also one of the reasons why a lot of places have cash back at the till, because it saves the money.
I just wanted to interrupt for 1 second because I don't want to bother this gentleman any more than we already have. But is there any questions you have for him before I go? If you want to get like one or two questions out there, he's willing to answer some questions.
I have
Last
one.
guy,
Actually.
anything?
I have one. Yeah.
Okay.
Is he not?
I'll relay.
Of,
he can't hear me. Go ahead.
Yeah. Is he not scared of any financial regulations coming to his business? For like giving out Monero, as change. Like I would be scared, honestly, but I would like.
We're not trying to scare the gentleman out of accepting.
Yeah.
He's saying, would you have concerns with giving change out in Monero? Like, how are you perceiving it?
As long as people are paying in Monero and I have it in my wallet, I wouldn't mind.
Right? Because I mean, logically, yeah. I actually hired an attorney like 2018, to write up an opinion on that. On this exact scenario at the time in New York. And obviously the conclusion was it's, not crystal clear, right? But that
we're in the gray water.
Yeah, but there's nothing that would make it illegal prima facie, like on the face of it. So obviously, listen, we all know how these people operate. If they want to, stop you from doing something, they'll come up with some regulation for it. But I think we all know here in Monero land that we're on the right side of certainly what the ethics should be. And I personally think using Monero completely aligns with the ideals of the United States government of America. And there is nothing fundamentally wrong with buying and selling goods and services directly from Monero. And part of that is giving change. I mean, that's a natural part of transacting.
So I have like a lot of questions, but I only want to ask one, which is, would he be willing to give us an update in a few months' time for how this has been going for him?
Yeah. Okay. So Alaska is asking, would you be down to a couple of months from now, or whatever? Obviously, I'll be coming by here all the time, so he'll see him again. Would you be willing to give an update at some point in time in the future? We can talk about it
on how it's going.
Yeah, on how it's going.
Yeah, I don't mind.
I don't see why. I mean, unless things go tragically wrong.
I'm not hiding. I'm part of the community. I've been part of the community for a couple years, so I'm here.
Fantastic, man. Fantastic. And I think you said you wanted to give a shout out to Bawdy.
Definitely shout out to Bawdy. I like your analysis. Definitely a couple years ago helped me through the ups and downs of the crypto market. So shout out to Bawdy.
This guy knows. He knows Monero deeply, guys. We had some sidebar conversations. So he's in it for all the right reasons. I don't want to bother him anymore, so we'll move on. And maybe I'll make my way to the ice cream, but you guys can continue to chat.
Man, I wish I had another, like the same as you have right now, like a supermarket that accepts literally Monero, right? I would love to have this in Europe, in France. You guys are lucky, man.
I mean, the trick is we just one by one, we all have to start it in our own niche. and these things tend to snowball. I don't know if you've ever, I'm pretty sure it was in the bell curve. I can't remember what book I was reading but every movement has its tipping point, and it's loosely modeled after the bell curve, where you have these early adopters, and then you have kind of the bleeding edge people. Well, the inventors, I should say, and then the early adopters, and then the bleeding edge people. And then there's kind of like a point in which cultural icons make it, I guess, like popular and acceptable. And then everything comes in a giant deluge. And I actually have a thesis about what's going on with Bitcoin too, which is the reason why Bitcoin hasn't like completed its tsunami cycle is because it's running upon the technical limitations of Bitcoin as it exists. So basically, the underlying premise was people would eventually use it like cash, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I remember the point, and I'm sure a lot of people do here. I remember the point in which it had become popular enough where people were very interested in using it as cash. And then the practical implications of actually pulling it off became next to impossible. And yet you don't really see a whole lot of people stop accepting Monero, right? You don't see a lot of people complaining about the difficulties of using Monero if they've gotten at least to a certain point of having accepted it or purchased it and doing self-custody. Pretty much the gateway to using Monero is getting to self-custody. I think that we may be underestimating how many people who have heard of Monero still haven't actually done a self-custody and use it for their own personal exchanges. And that, I don't know, maybe that's part of our future growth curve or something like that. But I really think that Monero has the ability to cross the threshold that Bitcoin crashed up against, which is its only technical utility is as a trading vehicle. It's not very technically useful for the purposes of actually buying and selling groceries. And we watched when people first tried to do it, but it failed.
Seatown Farmers Market, guys. Astoria. 23rd Street.
Legend.
They accept Monero. And out of pure need, sometimes they give change out in Monero. It's interesting. They don't sell Monero, but they'll give change out if needed for business purposes.
So, Doug, do you remember at the conference when what's his name wanted to be paid in Bitcoin and then he wanted to use Lightning Network and all of that BS?
Oh my God, yeah. Peter Todd, yeah.
So on a scale of like 1 to 10, rate how your experience actually making the transaction is between paying a guy for his services in Bitcoin versus paying a guy for his services in XMR.
I mean, obviously we all know. Super simple, right? Super fast to send. You see it pending within like 10 seconds. And that's it. Anonymous every time. I will say though, we do know there's still issues with the lock time. And for real world usage, it is an issue. It's an issue for noobs, for onboarding noobs. Once you're using Monero basically daily, the lock time is not an issue at all because you always have enough new outputs to spend because you're receiving Monero in different batches. But as a noob, when you're trying to onboard somebody and you send that first Monero transaction and then they want to turn around and then use that Monero and maybe right away, right? That's where you kind of lose people a little bit in usability. But obviously, ignoring that aspect, yeah, I mean, there's no two completely different technologies, Monero versus the Lightning Network. Monero is a completely decentralized system that allows you to transact peer-to-peer anonymously every time with super cheap transaction fees in an almost instantaneous nature.
I think it would be interesting to take that testimonial example along with like using it across borders or using it for like charitable purposes and so on. It'd be interesting to make like a little pamphlet of all of the examples where Monero excels above other mediums of exchange. Like how Monero is better than like Western Union and how Monero is better than like, you know, credit cards and all that. Just like kind of lining out example after example and just trying to make that available to the general public of like, no, the utility is there right now for why it's better right now.
We should be thinking of what the essential businesses you would want to have accepting Monero and like in a community that would allow for, you know, a parallel economy, and then work towards onboarding those key. Like, so we get a supermarket. Everybody needs a supermarket. Everybody's getting, but now we need some additional businesses in the neighborhood where he can then go turn around and spend his Monero in a way that helps him sustain, you know, keep his business running.
Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
There you go.
Yeah. Such a list pretty much already exists. It's the hierarchy of needs.
I was going to say something inappropriate, but I won't.
This is awesome.
I think for Monero adoption in general, we would need to first target the individuals. I mean, we're already doing it, right? And then we start to target the, you know, businesses, small businesses. Honestly, I've been thinking a lot about farmers. Really try to go to them and see if they would accept Monero.
My God,
like,
yeah, yes. Yeah,
they tend to basic needs of people, right? But it's also small businesses, right? It's one people generally that are running one business. Small businesses should go first, I think.
And get
like
them
Alaska
all
said.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry.
I was just gonna say, you know, get them all listed on XMR Bazaar. It really helps. Like, if this isn't just a place now where I did one Monero transaction, like now the word is out in New York City. New York City is, you know, it's quite large. There's definitely one or two other Monero people around. I've met them. So he might actually get a few people to start showing up. So we gotta get the word out on these businesses when they are willing to accept Monero.
Seriously, like if you are running a business like alone, definitely consider putting up your, you know, business on XMR Bazaar. And even if you're not, like for me, for example, I run a blog, right? It's not really a business. But I've posted my own, you know, offer on XMR Bazaar. If you come to me to write some blog posts that are good quality, I actually pay in Monero, right? So definitely consider that, just for visibility, right? You want to be visible for your, you know, potential customer base. Definitely, you know, get listed wherever you can. And XMR Bazaar is one such platform, yeah.
So let's not lose the one of the most valuable things that happened from Doug going there is he's saying something that I've heard a lot, which is when asked what it would prevent you as a business from wanting to accept Monero, you still find yourself in the situation where, well, my utility company will only accept dollars for my bills or whatever. Well, there are things that we can do as a community about that, which is we could simply say, okay, well, I will accept Monero in exchange for paying your utility bill. You see what
There's
I'm
actually
saying?
services that offer that. They just don't. They mostly work off of Coinbase, unfortunately, I think. But there should be an alternative where basically like Amazon, or what is it called? Monerozon. You could basically do bill pay.
Monazon.
Monazon. If there was a bill pay platform where you could onboard yourself into Monero, like all I have to do is pay this person's electric or gas bill and they'll pay me Monero, awesome. I don't have to deal with taking cash to a parking garage or a bank lobby or a Starbucks, and I can just do it from home, and it's all private.
Honestly, XMR Bazaar is the ideal platform for doing that. Where if somebody put it in the non-custodial, I forget what it's called, the multi-sig account, and then they see their bill get paid and they release the Monero.
Like a bill pay category.
Yeah, I'm going to make one right now.
That's a good one. That's a good one. I'm pretty sure somebody did that already up there.
Hey, Doug.
Hey.
So this grocery store is looking for suppliers. I mean, we can kind of do a little bit of elbow grease connecting people like the Dutch cheese boy to supply them some cheese.
Yeah, he agreed on the coffee already. He's already down. He said he'll put my coffee on his shelf.
You could have a sticker that says 10% discount from Monero.
I mean, you know how big that is because gratuitous. Obviously, we just kind of keep it going. But if we could get a store now that steadily accepts it, and you get people just buying the coffee because they just happen to think it's decent coffee, that's nice there too. Right now, we can start to build that up.
Correction, it's delicious coffee.
It is good. It is good. I'm drinking kombucha right now, paid for with Monero. We're just talking about it the other day. Wish I could buy
my wife wanted to know if gratuitous is pesticide free.
I mean, it's a free market. If somebody wants to sell, gratuitous. I'm sorry you said XMR Bazaar. I don't know if it's 100% pesticide free. I don't know. I can't make that claim. When we went down to the farm in Guatemala, that farm was tremendous. It's huge. And yeah, the farmer was pretty adamant on the fact. He's like, there's no way you could have a farm this size and be pesticide free. He's like, it's just not feasible. Our farm in Colombia is much smaller, but I can't promise that they're pesticide free. I don't think they are. But we will be going down there soon.
So that's one thing that
question.
Yeah, that's one thing that XMR Bazaar could excel at is if there was some sort of feature on the site that basically did chain of custody. So if you were buying stuff, you could kind of get a sense of what the source was, like a little bit of familiarity. I think that would actually be a very, very valuable value-added offering.
Yeah. I feel like we could really start to grow XMR Bazaar quickly. I need to, get to the point where it's source available or open source so that others can start participating in the project and contributing to it.
And sustainably monetized.
Yeah. I'm not even worried about that part yet. Like, let's just get it to where it's set up in a way where it can iterate as quickly and improve as fast as possible, so we can grow as quickly as possible. I mean, I think we're proving that people are willing to that see value in using digital cash to buy things directly off of each other. There's definitely a real world need there, even beyond us Monero users, right? It's a bigger idea. Like, there's a lot of people that would like to buy shit with digital cash online. They don't even care whether it's Monero, but just this concept of being able to use cash, but on the internet for legal stuff. So I do think we can grow that quite a bit, especially in the libertarian community.
I don't want to lay the hint on too thickly, but you know what that grocery store in XMR Bazaar could really use?
What's that?
Is some smoked salmon from Alaska, if anyone knows how to source any of that.
I didn't check. I'm sure they have. It's a New York supermarket. Yeah, they definitely have it. I don't know which brands they have. I don't know if they have.
If only we knew someone with smoked salmon sourcing.
Yes.
I kind of feel bad too because I've got like mountains of it in my fridges and in my freezers, and it's just like sometimes it's so hard. I had to buy two. I have two brand new fridges that are outside as of this morning that I gotta use to fill because it's salmon season and I'm running out of room and like.
if you post it on XMR's Bazaar, I have a feeling that there's gonna be one person who's gonna probably buy a crap load of it for every breakfast.
I
know. I gotta
like 3
smoke it
times a
though,
week.
and that's the problem. Like in order to smoke it, like I have to carve out like time, which is like impossible. And during the summer in Alaska to have like even a minute.
Hire a teenager. Hire a teenager to do it.
Yeah, but dude, I eat that like 3 times a week. That's like a part of my.
Only 3. I eat about once every 4 hours.
Really? Yeah, so you're an animal. Oh, you're like a bear, man.
I'm here for a reason, you know.
I
Like,
eat
you gotta live in your
the
environment.
wild caught sockeye, like salmon. I guess it's kind of like a salmon jerky almost. It's just smoked. I don't know, but it's got some sugar in it.
As a salmon connoisseur, I'm gonna tell you right now, the best by far is there's 3 different species, but the best by far is the 3 species, all 3 of them. Right as they hit the mouth of the Copper River, before they've turned, they're at their absolute peak because they haven't burned all of their fat yet. They haven't turned yet. Like they have it's just the most delectable. I'll quit rubbing it in, Druckdime. I'm sorry.
But in
If you do
New
sell
York,
it-
like a lot of locks, like most of the locks you see that's being sold in the supermarkets is all like really shitty, like farm raised salmon. It's actually really hard to find. Like,
It's not the same, man.
yeah. Oh my
No
God, it's
sugar, please.
disgusting.
No sugar.
Yeah, the farm rate is like literally disgusting.
Well, you know, one of the reasons why sugar on salmon tastes so good is because they're not getting the right salmon. See, fat has a sweetness to it when you smoke the salmon. That's why you have to get them right before they start running upstream, because when you smoke it, the fat seeps into the muscles and it makes it sweet on its own. You don't have to sweeten it at all. And then the sweet plus the smoky flavor. I told you I was going to quit rubbing it in. I'm sorry.
Find someone to start providing salmon. Start shipping it into You know what salmon is consumed in New York City? Jesus Christ. we get this supermarket to carry your salmon.
Yeah, and if this Dutch cheese boy.
I'm literally taking nets to the rivers tomorrow to get myself buckets and buckets and buckets of salmon.
You're an asshole.
Yeah. If you guys have never heard of dip netting, well, you have to live here for a certain period of time to even do it. But if you guys have never heard of dip netting, you should check some videos on what that looks like, and then you will understand why this is like the place to live if you like food freedom. It's unbelievable.
Fantastic.
Well, if
what do you think it's going to be like when we're all? What is it going to be like when we're all living in Formosa?
Well, Formosa has like, if you're using agricultural principles that are, I mean, most of them are old, just recombined in different ways or whatever. Formosa can grow almost anything. Like there's no type of plant that you can't grow there with certain tricks, and not only that, but it's a great place to raise just about any animal you can think of as well. You still won't be able to get moose though, so I think Alaska's still technically better, but
wow.
Would Dutch cheese boy be in the Netherlands? Wouldn't he?
Yeah.
So if he could convince his dairy to supply cheese to this grocery store, that would kind of prove a model, because the Netherlands have been going through these massive farmer protests, and if they can show that there's a supply chain, business to business use case for Monero and getting the fuck off of CBDCs and the fiat currency, the thing that's being used to extort their wealth will be weaponized against them, and all these land grabs and everything. That could really spark something special.
I could probably get Dutch Cheese Boy to jump on. He could be our
Hell yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I assume he's a Monero dude, but he sounded like he works at a cheese like I don't know if he owns a cheese factory. I'm not exactly sure, but yeah, everybody needs cheese. The cheese is freaking amazing. I mean, anybody who's had like Dutch cheese, I mean, this is like the best of it. It's very good.
I just got mine yesterday or 2 days ago.
Oh, good. Did you get aged?
I got an assortment. I haven't opened any of them. I'm still trying to use up a little bit of cheese before I crack any of it open, but I've got it.
Yeah, it's Beamster cheese.
Smoked salmon with Dutch cheese and eggs and.
We're doing it. We're getting there.
Omelet. We've almost got breakfast like nailed down.
I need oysters. I need like a
goat
local
milk lady, but I can't because
I need to get a local oyster
already.
guy.
Alaska, my obsession has.
I could do that.
My obsession has been starting every morning with Liberty. It's kind of like this dream I've had. So I found a shampoo and conditioner supplier in Morocco who uses argan seed oil for their shampoo and conditioner and like some body beauty supplies and whatnot. Unfortunately, they stopped shipping to the U.S. I'm trying to convince them. I'll hit them up occasionally, like, hey, there's a market for shampoo and conditioner and your soaps and your beauty supplies and everything. So hopefully we can get them back on board. But like now I'm brushing my teeth because there's a certain drop shipper on XMR Bazaar that if you support Alex Jones and buy his kooky, super male vitality toothpaste.
Dude, I'm not going to lie. That is the best toothpaste I've ever used. Super Blue. Like after I tried it once, I was like, "Oh my god!" And I bought like boxes full of it just to make like it is really good. But actually, now I've got this new kick, those little polish tablets. Let me see if I can figure out from my wife what she's been doing to get those, but they're amazing.
So wait, we're getting Drunk Dial. What are you trying to do? You're trying to now. You're going to go ahead and sell those in bulk or something. You're buying his stuff in bulk and reselling or something.
Oh, not me. Are you doing? I've never touched Monero, but there's someone on XMR Bazaar that's basically acting as a drop shipper for Alex Jones, so you can support Alex Jones and the Monero parallel economy at the same time.
Okay.
And I assume this person who's posting these will have basically all of the supplements up on XMR Bazaar by the end of the weekend.
Move it back a little because I can't see.
Oh, there. Hold on. Sorry, I'm distracted over here. Very, very cool. Guys, my phone is about to die. But this was an epic day. Tony, are you still there?
Yep, still here.
So yeah, Tony, if I lose you guys, you could just carry on and then close it out. Yeah, anybody else that wants to jump up, or you guys want to bring anything else up?
I got one last question for you, Doug.
Sure.
How does freedom taste?
I've arrived. It tastes amazing. I'm not gonna lie, guys. No, I have a grocery store now that accepts Monero. I have a pizza place where I could buy my pizza with Monero through somebody on XMR Bazaar who has made it easier for me to buy pizza than ever before. I just send it like, "Yo, bro, I'm gonna get one." He just does the work for me.
We've basically proven all the use cases, and we're about to hit an inflection point. I mean, not next week, maybe, but something is going to happen.
People understand the use case, right? They understand cash. People want freaking cash. They want a traceable bearer asset that they can pass peer-to-peer. Monero's a digital version of that, and now people are waking up to the fact that cash is going away.
If there's anything that I've learned about like freedom tech just generally and trying to encourage people to switch to it, it always comes in waves and you always have to tie it into a personal experience. So I had like a massive wave of increased enthusiasm for graphene phones when people kept noticing that they would have conversations about stuff and then it would get sold to them on their iPhone. And they could tell that their phone was spying on them. And even though they would hear about it, like when it became real, some of them were like, yeah, no, we're not doing this. And I think it's odd because I had the same epiphany that I know Doug probably missed it, but Bawdy this morning, well, for me, like this afternoon, but like this earlier on the price report, he had come to this thesis that there was a decent chance that since our lizard people overlords have obviously picked Trump, that there was a high likelihood that they might do like a financial crisis on this side, because they kind of have to do one anyway, right? Like the liquidity problem is becoming more real and the labor problem is becoming more real. So you'd think like what's the natural remedy would be, some kind of collapse followed by juicing the economy. Well, they would want to do it on this side of having a president that they're trying to get people to rally behind in time for some, atrocious Orwellian whatever nonsense they have planned next or whatever. But the reason why I bring that up is that is the ideal scenario to onboard waves of Monero enthusiasts, is when it's right in their face and they can't escape it. And the conversations are constantly coming up where it's like, the economy is so bad, this and that. And you won't have to go through all of the laundry list of things where you wake them up to why the economy is bad and what the utility for Monero would be in each individual case. You could just simply say, Monero fixes a lot of this stuff. And then they say, well, how? And then you say, well, that example that you were just using, I can't find a person who's willing to work for such and such amount of money. It's like, well, I'll work for less if you pay me in Monero. Or is it, like you can use different case studies of a financial collapse to encourage people to dip their toes and get used to it, and it's also a great way to, I think business to business needs to be the priority when it comes to where to move Monero transaction onboarding. Getting people to try to use it in their day-to-day lives is fine, but business to business is the vast majority of the economy, which is why I love the idea of, okay, let's agree that we will pay bills for people if they pay us in Monero, or let's agree that, so you close that gap for them and make them more comfortable accepting the Monero. But then the thing is you go to the other side, you go to the utility companies and you say, you only accept cash, but most utility companies, in exchange for their monopoly, they're run by like maybe a county or 3 counties, or in the case of Alaska, like 2 or 3 boroughs. They're actually accountable to the stakeholders of their grid. So you can leverage a lot of pressure on a utility company to start accepting payments in Monero.
Guys, we already do it, right? We talk about the circular economy nonstop, and we have people up here that are selling things for Monero and whatnot. But we should take that up a notch. Like, treat this show, this portion of the show, as we're building out the circular economy. Let's just freaking do it out in the open. Coordinate, get people up here. Obviously, stay anonymous as you can, but I think that's what we need to do. Let's treat this like a coordination effort to growing the Monero circular economy. What do you think?
So maybe we could run with the idea that shopkeeper did. Let's like all leverage the idea of pick one utility cooperative in one county where there might be a demand, and say, we insist that you accept utility bills in either gold, silver, or Monero. Just like turn the heat up, try to push them to accept, Monero for their utility bills or whatever, and go from there. Like, what if we did coordinated, like, one piece of the puzzle initiatives?
So I know
where
I'm not saying this is me or anything, but I do know someone who attends trade organization boards and public utility commission meetings, who is a part of the conversation on writing rules and utility rules and grids. And he might also have some very developed ideas on how to build a microgrid where neighbors could sell energy back and forth if they have excess energy, or store it and want to sell it at night, or want to consume it if you just maybe run some laterals between buildings. So if you have excess solar capacity or a Tesla car that you want to maybe sell some energy to your neighbors and meter it in Monero, might have kind of developed that idea a little bit as a fun exercise.
So because I don't care if they come banging down my door and kidnap me, one of the things that I always thought was kind of an interesting use case for an electric car was, what if you went to like public buildings and then juiced your like Tesla or whatever at a public building, and then went and sold the battery use, right? So like basically you drive to work and then like plug your shit into a government office and leave it to charge overnight, like take the bus home or something. And then you drive it back and you power your neighbor's house for a day or something. And I've thought about that a lot. Like, what if you just
I mean,
started
that was like Monero mining or Bitcoin mining at work. It's a
Oh, we've all done that. I mean, allegedly.
Never.
Well, I might know a
Seriously,
person who's
never.
obsessed with Bitcoin and is very knowledgeable about microgrids.
Yeah, we should write up some kind of like
Maybe Formosa would be a good place to work on that concept.
I was thinking the same thing. Or actually, a lot of these mountain communities have those power co-ops that Alaska was kind of hinting at, that are easy to influence for the local residents.
Mm-hmm. Formosa Iberete. Yes.
I mean, honestly,
Ibereta.
like, if you're a business owner and you don't have like much visibility, to sell your products, consider using Monero. Honestly, you might open up your whole business and make it known for that new audience that is looking for privacy, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and also you don't need to switch 100% over to Monero. You can have 3% of your revenue in Monero and not have to worry about how to pay utilities or property taxes. But if it's entirely possible to walk around and live off of Monero, all of a sudden then you can hit that inflection point where it's easy to pull off, where the fiat system, the fiat control surveillance grid, if they did rug us and do a collapse and try to force us in the CBDCs or whatever, but there was already a fledgling economy that could rapidly grow and just basically kind of sidestep the bus coming at us, well, then they're fucked. They could rapidly, I mean, it wouldn't be an easy transition. It wouldn't be painless, but at least we wouldn't be, North Korean price-controlled planned economy slaves. We would have a tool, a weapon to protect ourselves.
Yeah, but even as when you're a business, you have anyway the obligation to declare your revenue, whether it's in dollar or silver or Monero, right? You will anyway have to pay your taxes regardless of the income, right?
Not in Argentina. Not there's quite a bit of leeway, latitude in places like New Hampshire. Also, I would point out that dispensaries, marijuana is federally illegal, yet half the states in the United States are telling the federal government to go fuck themselves, and they're letting people open up dispensaries on Main Street, USA. There simply aren't enough DEA agents to shut them all down. There simply aren't enough IRS agents. I don't care if they hire the tens of thousands or whatever that they're planning on doing. If people need a solution, they will seek it out, and if it's there, they'll use it. So that kind of talk is self-defeating.
They're very good. They're very good early adopter for having a real use case for Monero.
Maybe we get that going in New York. Listen, guys, I gotta go, and I think Tony has to go too. So we're gonna close it out. If there's any last thoughts, the vital to get out, I'm out now.
Cool show.
So I think
All right,
running a natural
this-
gas generator might be the solution to what he was talking about. Because I was just shopping around for like kilowatt hour efficiency and all that. You could run a natural gas generator for like pennies and set up a local power grid for, let's say, a grocery store or something like that. But I'm just saying, just thinking out loud. You know, I'll leave it there.
Well, with a Monero metered microgrid, you could use any energy source you want. You could burn coal, wood in your backyard, whatever you want. You could sit on a fucking exercise bike and sell the power to your neighbor if you wanted, and no one could say anything about it.
Enemies, you know.
All right, I'll shut up.
Right,
God bless you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, guys. This is a freaking epic show, guys. This is a epic moment. It felt real. I don't think he's just doing it for, a one-time thing. He used to be into Monero quite a bit. He understands it, and now he's seeing that people are willing to come spend it. That's fantastic. I will now be buying my groceries with Monero here in New York City. All right, so we'll leave it at that. Tony, go ahead and let's close it out.
All right, guys. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
What is that noise?
Thank you for joining us on this week's Monerotopia episode. We stream live shows every Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern. You can find and subscribe to our show on YouTube and Odyssey, or listen to the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or Stitcher. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or join us in the Monerotopia Telegram group. See you all next week.